Do you like the idea of driving your ATV all year round? Maybe for a bit of plowing in the winter or for some longer trail rides? I know I'm interested, but there's always one thing holding me back, and that's freezing my fingers off. Some of the newer models come with options for heated grips, but if you're like me and have a little bit of an older model, we're left with aftermarket. Welcome to manual labor. So these are the heated grips I opted for. They're Kimpex brand, and they cost a little over $50 Canadian. These ones have pads that actually go underneath the stock grips. You can get some aftermarket ones that are the entire grips themselves. I opted for a little cheaper option, but just as highly reviewed, so I'm sure it'll work just as good. Comes with the pads, the wiring, the switch, and it all just installs, should bolt right up, or I guess plug right in. So let's start off by getting this windshield off, and then we can pull the grips off and go from there. So now that we got these out of the way, we're going to scuff up the surface here of the handlebar a little bit with some Scotch-Brite here, and then use some wax and grease remover to clean it up, and then we can get our heated grips stuck on there. So now we have our heating elements installed. We got to figure out where we want to put the switch. I'm thinking I'm going to put the switch over here on this side of the pod, right above the cigarette lighter. I think that's enough out of the way. It's not going to be in the way of the windshield, and leave space here on the front if I ever want to add anything, any other gauges or anything else on my dash. So we run into a little issue here. You can see that this bracket has been snapped off. I'm not sure how that would have happened, but I'm going to get the headlight removed, try my best to repair that with some JB Weld and a little bit of reinforcement. And while we're waiting for that to cure, we can get the switch installed on the top part of the plastics for this pod. All right, so we got that welded up and supported, so now we can get back to installing that switch. So we got our hole drilled up here. Let's test fit our switch. Right. And we can get this screwed on. So looking at the wiring diagram provided, we have our wiring harness, mini wiring harness with a little bit of a resistor there. So we want to make sure that at the end of here you see there's two spade connectors, and these spade connectors are going to hook up to our switch. The one with the resistor is going to go to the high, and the one without the resistor is going to go to the low. And now with my own spade connector, I'm going to crimp that onto the heating elements, which I have brought into the middle here, and that is going to go into the middle connector on the switch. So we'll get that crimped on. All right, so I had to rip into the top a little bit here to be able to access the accessory wire. So this accessory wire goes down into our accessory fuse down here. That's for 20 amps. I also have my winch wired up to the same thing. So there are typically two orange wires that come off. Those are the orange wires that you can use for your accessories. So what I went ahead and did was I added a male end of a spade connector here. So we're going to get that wired up into that. And then once we get that done, then we are going to get our ground, which is right here. The ground is the second wire that comes off of each of those heat pads. And I am going to ground it out to the frame over here. Make sure I clean that all up nice, and that should do the trick. So when that's all said and done, we can give her a test, and if it all works, we can get it back together. So now we got everything hooked up. The next step is to test it all. I have my multimeter out here just in case something isn't working. We can make sure all our currents are where they should be. But I'm going to turn the key, and we're going to see if these things heat up. Then if they do, we can button everything back up, and we should be good to go. So we'll try these on low and see if those heat up. So this says we have 10.7 volts. Could be because the battery's low due to the cold weather, but we are getting a voltage there. That's good. See if there's any difference in the temperature here. I feel as though those are getting warmer. Hard to tell. Give it a little bit more time. The resistor in here is getting very warm. There is definitely a difference happening here. Alright, so I'm looking at my ground. My ground is about a volt lower where I grounded it out. It's about 10.68. If I use the cigarette lighter ground, for example, and measure that, it's about 11.15. So what I'm thinking I might do is take that connector off and put a female spade connector on there, and then just hook the 3 wires, that ground from the cigarette lighter along with the 2 grounds from my hand warmers, and I'll put those into my cigarette lighter, and that should connect all those grounds together and give me a better connection. They're getting significantly warmer here now. Alright, I'm going to get everything buttoned back up together and put our grips back on, and we should be good to go. And just like that, we have heated grips on our ATV. So that's going to be just in time for our winter rally up the Eastern Shore here in Nova Scotia. I'm planning on putting out a video for that. So make sure if you want to see it that you subscribe to my YouTube channel and like the video if you want to see more videos like this one. I have some more mods coming up as well. But that'll be it for today. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.